What's up, familia? Welcome back to the Boys Will Be Boys podcast. As you can see, I have a very, very special guest beside me.
Hello.
This is my beautiful wife. Introduce yourself.
Oh, hey everyone. My name is Phoebe. I'm Omar's wife. Nice to meet everyone. Well, I can't really meet anyone on here, but
Yeah, it's okay. It's one of those awkward introductions online.
yeah. Actually, it's pretty awkward. But
Like at
it's
work
okay.
when you're like, nice to meet you. That's what people say at work now. It's like, nice to meet you. It's like, bruh, it's so corny. Anyways, I'm so thankful to be doing this episode with my lovely wife. And it's a special episode. It's like three special episodes in a row. The first one I think was my birthday, where I gave, how many lessons? So however many lessons that I've learned in my 30 years of life. And then the following week was my mom's birthday, and I basically gave her an episode to kind of honor her. And now this episode is a week late. I realize that, but for good reason. Phoebe and we actually took a week off last week, and we decided to head over to my parents who live in the GTA area. And so we got to show them our bundle of joy.
Oh, Mickey Miggs.
And Mickey Miggs.
Miguel.
They
That's his
never
name.
get to see. Yeah, his name's Miguel. But they never get to see him because we live, in the nation's capital, and so it was a good trip. We got to go to the spa. We went out to eat. Went to
Yeah.
Copacabana.
Yeah.
Which is an experience.
It's actually pretty good. But I wouldn't go again though.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's
Yeah.
like you go, but then it's like once you have that experience, it's like you can't repeat it
You
again.
won't go again.
Because it's like, okay, I've been here, done that.
Yeah,
kind of
but
thing.
it's a really cool experience though. I liked it.
And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. You might make fun of me because I might have the palate of a 5-year-old, but it was a lot of red meat that was not well done.
Oh
And,
yeah. What was it, like medium rare?
yeah, I think a lot of it was like medium rare.
Yeah.
Some of it was medium well, and it was just like.
Yeah. It was all right. It was all right.
To be honest with you, it was good. The overall experience was really good. I guess I just gotta grow up with the foods that I eat, right? I guess. Anyways, let's get into this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your ears every week, for listening to my voice, and for going along with me on this journey where I'm just sharing things I learned, things that I've learned throughout my life, and now my wife's life as well. And this episode is number 5, and we're excited. So how we want to start off the episode is essentially kind of talk about things that we have learned throughout our 2 years. Second year
2
of
years.
marriage. And we did this last year for our 1-year anniversary, and I posted a video to my YouTube. If you haven't seen that, it's on my personal page. You can go check that out on my personal page. And it was pretty good. We got some really good feedback about that video. And so I just wanted to do the same thing. I think it's, going through another year of marriage successfully, and, having a healthy marriage. I think it's important that I just wanted to share, I want us to share kind of things that have helped us and things that we have learned that we are going to maybe incorporate, or things that we will stop doing or whatever, in order to continue to have a good and healthy marriage. All right, so fellas, listen up, open your ears, because it's not only my voice you're hearing today, but it's also my lovely wife Phoebe,
Yay.
representing the ladies.
I hope I can represent the ladies well.
Nah, you represent the ladies. So you want to start? I want to start. There's no script to this, by the way. We're kind of just going off the
Okay,
dome. So.
you start, because whenever you start talking, I start getting ideas. So
Okay,
I don't really know what direction you want to go in. So you go first.
I kind of don't have a direction either, but we're going to wing it. So
Okay.
I think the second year of marriage, I can reiterate. I was thinking about it a little bit earlier, and I think one of the things I can reiterate from the first year was definitely patience.
Yeah.
Like, I think that for me personally, and it's crazy because I said this in the first episode, so I feel like it's a bit redundant for those who might have watched that video. But my dad always told me that, listen, like, as a man, patience is huge. If you can learn patience and learn that like patience will save you from arguments, it will save you from disagreements, it will save you from, you know, maybe saying things or doing things that in the end have no value.
Yeah.
You know, the faster you learn that, fellas, like honestly, the better your marriage will be. And it's tough because you have to have really good emotional intelligence to be able to humble yourself to say what I have to say, what I think in this moment doesn't matter enough for the longevity and the health of our marriage.
Yeah.
Like, because
definitely.
in a moment you can say certain things or do certain things that will trigger your wife. Like, there's certain things that I could say that might trigger you.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we're getting to that point now where we know each other's trigger points.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, I'll say certain things knowing
Yeah.
very well that like it will trigger Phoebe, and I'll say it out of annoyance or anger and just lack of patience. But if I'm just, the times that I do choose to be patient, it's funny, like you'll see that, I have seen that Phoebe will eventually, like, I guess, steer in the direction that I expected her to go in, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So it's strategic.
don't act like you don't do it to me. I know you do it to me too. Out here making me look like I'm a manipulator or something. You do the same thing, girl.
Master manipulator, huh?
Nah, we don't do that over here.
Yeah, eh? Drink that water. You're gonna need that.
Bruh, can you talk?
I'm joking. Yeah, but no, I agree. Like, patience is definitely one. So not so much patience for me. I would like to think that I have a good amount of patience. I don't think I'm that bad. I really don't. I think I have my other weaknesses. But the one thing that I've learned is tolerance. Oh my goodness. Like, you know, I thought I could tolerate people, but it's not until you get married that you realize you can't tolerate like one person. It's actually crazy. And like, being a woman and living with a man, there's a lot that you have to tolerate. Like, I'm not saying that you are bad at certain things. You're just different. You're just different in the way that you think. You're different in the way that you...
That's such a diplomatic like thing to say. Oh my goodness.
That's who I am. I'm very diplomatic. I pick and choose my words very, very wisely, as you've noticed.
That's good.
But like, the way you do things, the way you think, the way you say things, everything is so different than, if I want to say generally, how women do or think or say, or just how I do. And so I've noticed that because you're so different, it's not fair for me to just pick on everything about you. You're just different. And so I have to accept you for who you are. And so that's why I say I've learned to be tolerant. I don't know if that's the right word to use, or accepting,
Sure.
tolerant or accepting. Yeah. And it takes a lot of maturity, because I'll see something and I'll be like, bro, like, why can't you just do that like thing my way, or like the way I see it, or, you know, see things the way I see it. But it is what it is. Like, Omar is different for a reason. I'm different for a reason. But when we come together, it just becomes something beautiful. So yes, tolerance.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that goes both ways too, because there's obviously things that you do that I'm like, Phoebe, like, I'll give you an example, a stupid example, but like, sometimes she'll hold Miguel, and instead of using a burp cloth, like something to cover her shoulders.
Okay, that's
or
a
her clothes.
really bad example.
How?
I'm a mom. I don't care. Like, in the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get anything wet. I can't get any spit up on me. Now I'm like, listen, the boy can spit up all over me, all over my face, my pants, my shirt. It doesn't matter. I'm a mom.
She's a mom, so she don't care. But I'm going to tell the example anyways.
Okay.
So basically, I'll be like, why don't you just use a burp cloth? We'll even go out with him, and she's holding him on her shoulder, and he'll like spit up on her clothes. And it's like, if you just had a burp cloth, that wouldn't have happened. But she don't care. She's a mom. So, hey, just two different perspectives. And it's like, if it's me, like, why wouldn't you want to keep your clothes clean if you could? If there's a way to keep your clothes clean, just keep your clothes clean.
I'm a mom.
She's a mom. It's just one of those things that, like, you just learn your partner, like, more and more as the years go by.
Definitely.
And you just realize, man, you got to pick your battles.
Yeah.
But I think the battle is picking the battles, because you realize what's important from what's not, and you realize like the outcomes of not picking your battles well, and like, you know, like you just learn like your partner, what triggers them, and the things that like matter to them most, and the things that don't matter to them, and it really teaches you how to pick your battles well. So I think it's just a matter of time. You know, we've been married 2 years. They say that, you know, the honeymoon phase is now coming to an end.
It's actually not.
That's what they say, though, right?
Yeah.
They
Which
say the
I'm.
honeymoon phase lasts 2 years, and after those 2 years,
Oh,
or no,
okay,
no,
so-
sorry, they say that the rough season is the first 2 years.
Okay.
Sorry, I mixed that up. My bad.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But like the honeymoon phase lasts for what? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. This is gonna sound really off, but like, hear me when I'm saying this. So like, I've actually been waiting, like, for the honeymoon phase to end to be like, aha, this is where it really starts, you know? Aha. But like, no, it's just kind of been like a steady pace that we've been going, and we have our ups and downs, but it's been steady, you know? So like, when we have our downs, it's okay because it's not too frequent that we have our downs. And when we have our ups, it's okay because it's like a good balance, you know? So if it goes like this for the next X amount of years that we stay together, you know, until the Lord calls us home, I'm actually very happy with that. Like, it's steady, you know? But the way I understand how people are saying, like, oh, I think you said the first 2 years is like,
I think it's supposed to be like, okay. So I think I've heard two. I might be. I stand corrected. Comment below if you have heard either of these. But I've heard one camp say that like the first 2 years of the honeymoon phase, where like
Okay.
everything is bliss.
That's what I've
everything's
heard.
perfect. You don't have any fights because you're not trying to step on anyone's toes. And then you have the other camp that says that the first 2 years are completely rough because you both are trying to find your space together.
Okay.
You're trying to find your fit together. You know what I mean? And so it's like a lot of arguments, a lot of frustration and stuff like that. And so that's what like two different camps say about marriage.
okay.
So I guess, I don't know. I've heard both, but
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? You can comment below.
Yeah. So I prefer the way that it's worked out for us, just because, you know, you get a taste of both sides, and then you're able to kind of like adjust a lot better than having like a really, really good 2 years, and then after 2 years all hell breaks loose, you know, or all hell breaks loose as soon as you get married, and then there's like no hope in sight, but then it's like, oh wow, everything's perfect now. I don't know. I just like, you know, balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel like we were like that even in our dating phase,
Yeah.
where we were like in our courting phase, where we were like, I don't know. I'm the type of person, I'm just a very straight up person. Like if this is who I am, I'm gonna show you. Like I wear my heart on my sleeves. That's the type of person that I am. And so I remember when we were talking and getting to know each other, I really did not hesitate to like pour my heart out to you.
Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah, and like I even called her out on certain things. Like I said certain things that you're not supposed to say in the dating phase because you want to impress your significant other. But like to me, I'm like, if this is the person I'm gonna marry, they need to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. They need to know who I am. They need to know what I'm about. And so I think that, you know, that's part of the reason why Phoebe and I have such a good, healthy, and enjoyable marriage, because we basically knew what we're getting ourselves into, you know. And it was like honestly, and this is a piece of advice maybe for people that might be dating and courting in your courting phase, or kind of in the discovery phase of your relationship with someone. Like, don't be scared to let your hair down and like be completely honest and transparent about who you are. Like if you are a messy eater, eat messy in front of that person. Let them see you eat in your true color. Like if you are a blunt person, don't try to sugarcoat what you have to say to them. Obviously be respectful. Like that's just a general rule of thumb. But like if you're the type of person that is, you know, you kind of blunt, you hit things right on the head, you don't kind of go around the issue. Like don't try to beat around the bush when talking about certain issues and having difficult conversations in the dating phase, because those things will actually come back while you're married. And you know, it'll be a nightmare probably to handle it then, because you wouldn't have been able to see how you will react and how they will react to you, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff. And so I think that really helped us. because we're able to know, okay, this is how Omar gets when he's upset, or this is how Phoebe get when she's annoyed, or these are the kind of trigger points that trigger Phoebe. So I know if this triggers her, then maybe down the line something similar to this might trigger her in a similar way. And so you really get to know what you're getting yourself into. And of course, you're not going to get to know everyone 100% of the time, because one thing Phoebe and I always say and we believe is that throughout marriage, you're never just marrying the person who they are today. Like, you have to stay married to this individual as they grow and evolve in life. It's an issue if you are married to a person and after like 2 years they're the same person. Like, that's actually a problem, and you need to like seek to grow. Like, you can't just be stagnant. And so like it's such a pleasant journey, like growing with Phoebe, like not because she's perfect and not because I'm perfect, but simply because we're both willing to grow. We're both willing to evolve. We're both willing to understand continuously and adapt and adjust to each other as well as our own selves. Like marriage, you have to be so flexible. And I think that's maybe, I guess lessons are just coming out. Yeah. But flexibility is definitely a thing that we need to have in marriage. And I'll be a little bit transparent about this. I won't say too much because we haven't done anything yet. But there's certain decisions that we made financially that we didn't plan on making.
Okay.
When we first got married.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's certain decisions that we didn't plan on making certain financial decisions, but by the leading of God, and also, just with circumstance, and like we've made certain decisions to do certain things financially that we hadn't have done before. And so that's just an example. And it's funny because when you have certain goals and financial plans, it's like you put certain things in order and put certain things in place, and then all of a sudden things change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But the thing is, it's good. Like, I'm the type of person I like to be risky a little bit.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I admire that about you.
Yeah. Like I like opportunities. I like to take opportunities. I like to take risks. I like to kind of go for it. I like to try things, And so, I think that's a season that we're in currently in our marriage and in our life. Is like we're in a very transitional season. Yeah. Let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a transitional season for a while.
Yeah, very, very, very huge.
For a while.
Yeah.
But, through it all, we've seen the goodness of God. And because we have been so understanding with each other, and like be so willing to adjust, I feel like we've really capitalized on this season. That's how I feel.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Something came to mind for me. This one is an obvious one, but I'm going to go a little deep with it as like to add an example to show how important it is. So I'm going to start by giving credit to where I got this idea from. So I don't know if you all know Heather Lindsay. When I was a lot younger, like in my 20s, and also like when I was dating Omar, I used to listen to her a lot. Because the one thing that I admired about her was the steps that she took when she was dating her now husband. She took her dating phase or courtship, or however you want to call it, extremely seriously. And after she got married, I paid even more attention because I was just curious, like people who date so intentionally, I wonder how their marriages come out. And her marriage seemed to come out really, really well. And one of the things that she said that she always did was that sometimes her husband would annoy her. Like her husband would really piss her off, annoy her, do things that she hated. And she used to nag him.
In their dating phase or after?
Sorry, in their marriage. I know I added the dating part, but I was just giving context. But in their marriage, her husband would annoy her like crazy, just do things that would drive her up the wall. And she used to nag him all the time. And it wasn't working because it was causing a lot of fights, a lot of stress, a lot of negative energy in the relationship. And so what she started doing was she started just praying. Like every time she was annoyed, she would take that same effort of yelling at her husband and everything and take it to God, right? And this is what I call lamenting to God. And so she would just lament to God about her husband. God, why does my husband do this? It annoys me so much that he does this, but please give him the strength to change. Please give him the strength to do this. Please help him to do that, right? And these are obviously good prayers. It's not like it wasn't, they weren't selfish prayers,
Right.
right? They were just prayers to help her husband, because as a wife, she saw the weakness in her husband. She called it out. He wasn't listening, and she really wants him to get better. So what did she do? She took it to God. And she said that over time, her husband changed. And I was like, I actually like that, because personally for me, I hate it when people nag me. Like, it really gets to me. So I started thinking, if I hate it when people nag me, I wonder how much more it will annoy my husband. So one of the things I personally promised myself, and it was very quietly in my heart, I always told myself, I'm not going to nag my husband. I don't know if I've ever nagged you. I may have a few times, but okay, maybe I have.
I'm joking.
Okay. If I have, let me know.
I mean, who doesn't nag anyone?
True, but I try not to make it like a thing.
You're not bad though.
Yeah.
Like, you don't nag continuously.
Yeah, I'll say something once or twice, and if I notice that you're not listening, I'll just drop it.
Yeah.
And then I take it to God.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times that, like, when I've taken it to God, again, this is where patience comes in. I have to be patient, because it's not like an overnight thing. But I've noticed that over time, Omar actually changes. It's the craziest formula ever. If your husband annoys you, just take it to God, because God will take care of it. That's my
Why do you sound
lesson.
like Vanna Black?
Because it's just one of those things where it's just like,
Like a game show host.
sorry. But yeah, that, like, one, I remember I don't remember what it was, but I remember the first time it happened, I was blown away. I was like, whoa, this thing actually works, you know? And so, yeah, that for me, people always say it, put God in your marriage, right? Like, God first in your marriage, or put God at the center of your marriage, however you want to say it. So that's like the general idea. But I just gave you like a tangible example or a practical example of what that looks like. Right. And it works. And so that's one major thing that has worked for me in our second year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. And I've done that myself too. Like, I've prayed about certain things that I might have seen, and you know, and I see how God kind of touches your heart, especially when there's certain things we don't agree on. That's the most.
I need to add one more thing. I'm so sorry. I do this a lot. But another thing why I personally think it works is because your husband must also be sensitive to the Holy Spirit. That's very, very important, because if you're, I don't know if I can use this term, unequally yoked,
Sure.
where like you, the wife, are like, you know, super sold out for God, and like you allow the Holy Spirit to lead you, but then your husband isn't. Well, when you're praying to God and, you know, God is trying to, you know, nudge your husband like, hey, do this one thing, and he's not listening to the Holy Spirit, that's frustrating.
Right.
But then again, I mean, all things are possible with God. So I don't want to say that's never going to work, but I just want to add that if your husband is also sensitive to the Holy Spirit, it makes things so much easier. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had to add that
No,
part.
that's good. That's definitely a good point.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to mention that, because all of what we just said will be null and void
Yeah.
if our partner is not a believer, or even a believer that's sensitive to the nudgings and the promptings of the Spirit of God. But no, I agree 100%. Like, there are definitely times where we didn't agree on certain things, and I just prayed about certain things, and you know, God kind of turned your heart.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Oh, I didn't know that you had the same strategy as
Girl.
me.
What's this? Girl, bye. Girl, bye. But no, for real. And I think that it's so important. You just said it, like, keeping God at the center of your marriage is the key. Like, making sure that, like you said, like, we're both chasing after God. We both are pursuing a relationship with God. And so we know that when we pray and when we speak to God about our partner, this same God who we're chasing is in between the both of us.
Yeah, that's good.
And he's just, and he's righteous, and he's fair, and he loves each of us, and he has our marriage in the palm of his hand. And so he knows that what we're praying for will help our partner, which inevitably will help our entire marriage and our household. And so he's going to change our heart, or he's going to turn our heart, or he's going to change certain habits that I have. You know what I mean? And so it's funny, because you just think about marriage and the institution of it. Like, it's of God, and it's God designed and ordained, and it's meant for the purpose of fulfilling the purposes of establishing the kingdom on earth, right? And there's so many, like, the main way that I've seen the enemy attacks marriage, especially to our specific roles, I'll say with men, he makes us lazy, he makes us distracted, and not loving to our wives and to our households. Like, we have to really, really be intentional as men in our marriages and as husbands, as fathers, to be sacrificial in our love, to be to be diligent and to work hard and to work well. And what else did I say? Lazy, whatever. But there's, but I think that those are the specific things that the enemy uses to attack marriages. And I also want to mention for wives, like, why the Bible calls wives to be submissive to their husbands, and so I think the biggest area of attack is submission.
Yeah.
like for women to come into agreement with their husband to a certain vision, a certain goal for the family, a certain way of life, a certain standard of life for the family. That's one of the biggest areas.
Yeah.
Like, would you agree?
Yeah.
As a woman.
Definitely. I mean, it's very evident in our generation today. Like, that's the biggest topic right now in relationships, submission, because women don't want to submit and men want women to submit, and it's, I don't know, it's a hot mess.
Yeah, no,
It's
it
a hot
is.
mess.
It is. And it goes to show why we need God in our marriage, and not just in our marriage, but in our life, right? Because if he's not the center of it all, our life, our marriage, or everything, then everything kind of crumbles.
Yeah.
Because everything is supposed to rely on him. And so I really thank God that he's helped us in our marriage, in our own personal lives, in our marriage, in so many different areas of our life. And yeah, man, it's been a good journey.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned something, and I kind of want to take it there a little bit.
Okay.
This episode is getting kind of long, but it's okay. It's a special episode.
Okay.
There's two of us. There's two heads, so it could be a long episode.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
But I kind of want to talk about what you said about women of this generation.
Why are you laughing?
Because of that.
I have my personal comments about that, but that's okay.
I know. But let's talk about it. Let's air it out, because I think it's something that we need to talk about for you. Like we men have our issues,
Yeah.
but you started talking about women, so we're gonna start with the women, okay? So, like, what do you see? I guess in what you'd call the modern day woman, right? And this is kind of lingo that you hear in the Manosphere. You hear people like Kevin Samuels and a whole bunch of
What
other
did you
guys.
say? The Manosphere?
Yeah, it's called the Manosphere.
Since when?
Yeah, this is the thing.
Oh my
This-
goodness,
The
I never heard of
Manosphere.
that.
It's where men come together to basically talk about men's issues
Okay.
and to uplift each other as men and to talk about toxic femininity.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's a thing. It's a whole thing, right? So
Okay.
So, and to be fair, there are certain points that I do definitely agree with that are
Okay.
spoken within the Manosphere.
Okay.
But there are some things that are talked about, or some things that are said, that I think are kind of stretching things a little bit. Like,
Okay.
it doesn't need to go that far. But I think there is quite a bit of truth, like, in things that are spoken about in the Manosphere. I just think the perspective that is taken on those topics is kind of problematic.
Okay.
And perpetuates kind of the whole toxic masculinity
Okay.
thing. Anyways, you have some things to say
Okay,
about the
I
modern
do.
woman. So
It's
let's
funny.
go there.
I'm sure people can see me like organizing my thoughts. It's always like my face shows everything. I don't even know where to start, but something came to mind, so I'll start here. So I have a friend that I talk to every now and then. I'm not going to name her name, but if she's listening, she'll know it's her. And we talked about this, and for her to agree with me and to be experiencing the same thing, I think it's a good place to start. I'll put it like that. Okay, so I feel like, and I'm not speaking for all women, but I feel like there's a general issue amongst women that they don't want to submit to their husbands. Okay? I don't know the individual reasons, but I don't necessarily agree. I think it's important to submit. But I don't think submission has anything to do with the concept of slavery, if I want to come to it from that perspective. When I say slavery, I mean like whatever the man says you do, like you're like a slave to your husband.
Like the traditional sense
Yeah,
of marriage.
no,
or
no,
like
no, no.
The woman stays home.
Exactly.
She wears a dress down to her ankles.
Exactly, yeah.
She cooks and cleans all day. She
Yeah.
doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. But the way I see submission is that, like, oh my goodness. Like, submission would probably be like, I guess, submitting yourselves to the vision of the man. So, like, when you marry a man, right, you should know the vision that the man has, right? Because when you guys come together, the man is going to lead and carry that vision forward, and he needs a helper to carry that vision forward. So you need to be on board. So submission, I guess, would be for women like, I guess, just being on board with the plan, with the vision, with the goal.
And sorry, this is why the dating phase and the courting phase is so important. So important.
Right. I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I kind of want to bring it back because there's a point I want to make. But my friend and I were saying that it's easy to submit to your husband when your husband treats you right. Okay? So I'm going to leave that thought there and I'm going to go on another tangent. Okay. So when you have a friend that is so nice to you, okay? And like every time you see that friend, like your heart melts. When your friend asks you to do something, are you going to be spiteful and be like, no, I don't want to do it for you, or I don't want to serve you, I don't want to do whatever for you? No, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, of course, I would love to help you, or I would love to serve you. The same concept goes for your husband, okay? If your husband loves you unconditionally and he asks you to do something, it's so easy to say yes, okay? Whenever Omar asks me to do something, I may be tired, I may not want to do it, right? But because Omar loves me so well, it's easy to say yes. Now, does that mean that I shouldn't have a backbone, right? And and just agree to everything that you say? Right. No, it doesn't. It just means that if I disagree, then we sit down and we talk it out, right? And this is where compromise comes in, and all those other things come in. And sometimes we still won't disagree. And
still won't agree.
Sorry, we still won't agree. Yeah. Sorry. And then that's when it gets tricky.
Right.
Because sometimes you're just going to have to humble yourself and say, okay, I trust you. Right? I trust you. But then how do you even get to that point of trusting the person? Let's take it back to dating, right? Because in the dating phase, you need to know the person that you're going to marry, and you need to trust that person so well that in situations where you may not agree with your partner, but you can trust that he can take you to where you guys need to go. And so I said a lot of things, and I hope I'm not all over the place, but that's how I see submission. Okay. It's a lot of trusting. It's a lot of compromising. And even as I'm talking from a perspective of the husband says and the woman follows, the same goes vice versa, where, Omar will say something and I'll say, I don't agree. But then we'll both hear each other's points. And then Omar will be like, you know what, Phoebe, I'll actually follow you. You know what? Your perspective seems sound. We're going to go your direction. Right. So it's that balance of sometimes I listen to Omar sometimes listens to me. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah,
no, I think that's good. And I think it explains, I think that was a good explanation of the whole submission issue, especially from the woman's perspective, because as men, like, we can only say so much, right? In principle, but like practically and even emotionally, like talking about trust, like having to trust that your husband is going to lead you well. Right. Even though you might not even fully understand, right? Like, I think that's super important. And I think that you also said that, it's important for men also to submit to their wives sometimes. Like, we're not going to always have it figured out as men. Yeah,
definitely.
We don't know everything. Like, and that's one thing that I get from the Manosphere, that where it's like, men are the head, men are the lead, and they have this traditional perspective on marriage, which I do agree with the traditional perspective on marriage, but then I don't take it to the extent where you're now degrading women, talking about the modern woman as if she has nothing to offer. Like, a lot of men come with that whole question, well, what do you bring to the table, right? Like you hear that a lot in the whole manosphere conversations and stuff like that. And women usually get offended by that question. And I think rightly so in some cases. In others, I think it applies. I think it's all relative, right?
Yeah.
Like there are certain women that, you know, are probably like shaking their booty online all the time. And you know what I mean? It's like, okay, other than shaking your booty, what do you have to offer? Like I could understand the question then.
Yeah.
But and in any case, you shouldn't be even chasing a girl like that. Like, bruh, come on. Like, yeah, raise your standards up a little bit as a man. You know what I mean? You talk about women having standards. Men, we got to have our standards too. Anyways, back on course. You know, I think that it's important that we realize that the partner that we pick as men is our life partner. Like this is the thing that I understood when we were getting married, but I think even being in marriage now, and I think I haven't even seen half of it yet because we've only been married for 2 years, really. But understanding that, like, you are my life partner, you're my business partner, you're my financial partner, you're my partner in parenting, you're my partner in, like, you're my counselor, like you're everything to me. Like you're my go-to, you're my safety net in life, aside from God. You know, and so I think that when we're picking our spouses as men, we have to realize and understand that who we pick is important. You know what I mean? And so for the fact that you're asking someone what do you bring to the table, like you should already know as a man what a woman is bringing to the table. That's why you approached her in the first place, right? And also about the submission, it's easy for a man also to submit to his wife's opinions when he knows who she is and what she has to offer. Like, you know what I mean? Like it works both ways. Like I think it's very important that as men we start to like realize our own value. I think a lot of the issues in the manosphere that men have is that they talk about certain situations that are beneath them, but they try to, like, it's like they try to bring value out of someone who hasn't even seen their own value. Like you're trying to bring value out of women that are, you know, dressing kind of sleazy online and shaking their booty and are doing OnlyFans, things like that. Like, and you're trying to bring the value out of them. I feel like to be honest, I feel like a lot of the conversations that are had in the manosphere are like derogatory to women.
Okay. Because
these are conversations I feel like should be had in private to try to really build these women up. But instead, a lot of these men are like I was watching this one video, I think it was on the, which podcast was it? I think it's called the Jump Man podcast or like the Jump Ball podcast. And like, there's this guy, I think he was like a pimp or something. He used to be a pimp, I think, in his past life. And he literally like he gets to the point sometimes where he looks like he wants to fight the women. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, are you okay? Like,
well, the question is, who hurt him?
Honestly, like, question. For real, you know what I mean? Like, in the first place, you're a pimp, bro. Like, you don't even respect women. And then these poor, like, girls or young women are coming on the show, like, getting degraded, getting, like sit on. Like, getting spit on, basically. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, bro, like, I don't know. I feel like the manosphere is very toxic, but then there are a lot of good conversations that come out of it, you know?
Yeah. You know, something else I want to add, I did touch on it in the point that I had addressed before, but I think vision is very important. I think, so first of all, I am just of the opinion that men carry vision. Women carry vision too, but I think men carry the vision and the woman come along and support, or also carry the vision as well, however you want to see it. But the reason why I want to talk about vision is that if you're a man and you have a certain vision, when you're dating and you're looking for the right woman, rather than what do you bring to the table, right? Why don't you rather ask, what is your vision? Because if you ask the woman, what is your vision? Then she's telling you what she brings to the table, right? And then that way, when you're talking about submission, well, if you're saying something that is out of, well, not even out of line, but like when you're saying certain things have to, or certain standards have to be met in your relationship or family or whatever, right? The woman doesn't really have an issue submitting to those standards because it's in line with the vision that you both agreed with. Right? Yeah. So I think vision is very important. And I think that's why when we were dating, when you told me what your vision was and my vision was similar, right? It's very easy for me to submit because I know we're all going to the same place.
Right.
We might be doing things a little differently, but if I'm someone that's like an end goal thinker, right? Then it doesn't really matter too much how we get there as long as we're getting there.
Right.
And that's how you kind of avoid all the arguments and disagreements and issues of submission because we have the same goal.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I want to say this. Okay, I'll say this and I'll say it on the second point. So I think a lot of people run into issues while dating and courting because they court based on looks.
Yeah.
As opposed to actually dating for substance.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with looks though.
I mean, you ain't lying though, because you gorgeous, and that's one of the things that attracted me to you. So
thank you, and you're handsome.
No, but for real, like I feel like a lot of people like they go through so many different partners and they get frustrated and they say, you know, oh, women are this and men are this because like you've tried to date so many people without actually knowing who you are and what you even bring to the table and what your vision is. And it's like now you're chasing after wind because it's like today you feel up, tomorrow you feel down, today you feel like you're gonna go this, today you feel like your vision is this, and it's like you're chasing after all these things because you can see how you could fit in everybody's life, but it's like you don't even have an identity for yourself yet. And I think that's one of the most important pieces when it comes to relationships and marriage, because you have to know who you are and exactly what you said, your vision for life, right? And that kind of leads me to my second point, where as men, I think there's a lot of pressure on us to feel like we have to have everything figured out before we get married. And I want to debunk that and say you do not have to have everything figured out in your life before you get married. I think one of the beautiful things about our marriage so far is that we're actually building together. Like I'm not a successful super millionaire guy. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not broke, but I'm not a millionaire. You know what I mean? But I feel like we're in a stage of life right now where there's like so much potential on the inside of us and the both of us. And it's like we're both coming together to build together. And I think that's the beautiful thing about our marriage. And I think a lot of people kind of miss out on that.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've seen a lot of guys try to make sure they have like, you know, 100K in the bank account before they get married, or, you know, have, you know, 10 houses before they get married. And it's like, why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you actually don't need that stuff. You know, and I think that it kind of sets a poor standard for men in marriage, and it also can create some type of superiority complex in the marriage for the man as well, if he's not humble enough to handle it. Because if a man has a house, a car, good job, and all that kind of stuff before he gets married, and he has, you know, $1 million sitting in the bank account, built a successful business or something before he's married, now when he does get married, it's like you're talking about, well, you're living in my house. This is the house I bought. Or you're driving my car. Or you're eating my food in the fridge. You know what I mean?
Okay, I need to interrupt you there. Because you have to understand too, though, Omar, that like not everyone's reality is the same. There are some men that actually just get it all together before they get married.
Well, okay, no, that's true. But like, I'm talking about men that refrain from marrying simply because they don't have it all together. Yeah, 100%. Some dudes just figured out early, like they're millionaires at the age of like 20, especially in our generation, right?
And I think I'm pushing you in another direction right now, but like when you finish, I also want you to speak to those men. Like, how do you, I don't know, like comport yourself as a man who has it all together and is looking for a wife? Like, how do you relate to a woman? Maybe I should be answering that, but I want to hear what you have to say. Yeah,
that's a toughie because, to be honest, I've never been in that position, right? Like, we got married when I literally started working, you know, in my kind of career, I guess. You know what I mean? I still feel like I'm not even in my career yet, but so it's tough for me to answer that. But I guess the best advice I could maybe give is just be true to yourself and look for someone that's true as well. Like, you might need to take a longer time to watch that girl that you're watching. You might need to take a little bit of a longer time to analyze how she is in different situations and how she thinks about certain things. And I think it's important that when you're young, and this is the problem, right, where a lot of young guys, especially when they're rich, when they're young, they drive big, huge cars, you know, they party, they wear expensive clothes. So it's like the girl sees you And everything you do from that point, because she's seen you in the expensive stuff, she might be faking everything just to get to your, your pockets. And I think that's important, that as a young person, like you don't show off what you have. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it's important that you could just stay humble, drive a normal car. Don't be driving a Lamborghini. Like it's not even necessary. Like, you know what I mean? Bro, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But if you want to get married and you have all this stuff, then make sure you find, you live a humble life until you find that person. Like if part of your life plan, if part of your life objective is to get married, just buy that stuff after marriage. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like, and then you have the whole issue of like prenups, like prenuptial agreements.
Yeah.
That comes up a lot in the Manosphere conversations because of what you just said, right? Like if a guy is super successful, he makes like 6 figures a year, and like he marries a girl now, and the girl knows that he's rich, it's like, yo. Yeah. Because once they get married, she's entitled to half if they divorce.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
she could literally get into the marriage just to divorce him, to come up.
Yeah.
Like you look at someone like Jeff Bezos' wife, like,
yeah, I was just thinking.
I mean, they were married for a long time, so
Yeah.
obviously it wasn't one of those situations. Maybe he's just a messed up guy and she's like had it, you know. But like, yo, she's literally a billionaire today.
Yeah.
Because she was married.
Yeah.
And got divorced.
Yeah.
So I feel it for those guys who like are successful and are scared of women taking their wealth simply because they decided to sign a paper and then sign another one to say divorce. Like, so I get it, but I can't speak too much to it honestly because I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll leave that where it is. Yeah.
Okay, and I just want to also like talk from the perspective of the woman, but like if you're a successful woman, how do you submit to a man that's not as successful as you, or that is as successful as you, but like you're a strong-willed woman? Because for me, I have a lot of friends that are like super successful. Sorry, like they're very strong-willed women. So, and some of their complaints are like, oh, like how do I submit to a man, or like, I'm an independent woman, I got my own, And you know what? Honestly, like, I don't hate on those women because sometimes, it's not even sometimes, women, we're just go-getters. We just like to get things done. We just like to be independent. We like to achieve just as much as men. So when it comes to marriage, how do we fit into the whole submission thing?
You answer that.
Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Because to be honest with you, Fee, I feel like that is exactly your persona.
Me?
Like you have that go-getter personality. Like you have like 3 degrees under your belt.
Okay, but
like you have that. Okay,
that's
that
fine.
same type of persona, but yet still you were able to submit in our marriage. Like you are very submissive in our marriage.
Yeah, but I'm not like. I know some other girls that are like way higher up. Like, but
I think that's a good question for you to answer.
How do we submit? I mean, this is how I submit. I'm not telling other people to submit like me, but this is just how like I submit. I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know how to answer this one. Part of it is my personality. I am a happy-go-lucky person. Like I actually do take life very seriously. If you really know me, I take things very, very seriously. But very ironically, I'm also really laid back, So how do I submit? I don't know. To be honest.
Okay.
Wait, I'm not done though. Even though I'm
okay.
saying I don't know, I saw it in my parents' marriage. So like, even though like sometimes, okay, sure. Let me come at it from this perspective. I am a go-getter and I am very independent, but I know where to draw the line. How do I know where to draw the line? I saw it in my parents. That's the best example I can give. I don't know why I think the way I think when it comes to submission. But when I was growing up, I saw my mom submit under my dad's, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to say authority, but like leadership. There we go. Yeah. We don't want to use the word authority. No. And like definitely there were things that I did not like, and I think that's the cool thing. Like as kids, when you watch your parents in their marriage, you pick up on things that you like and you don't like. Generally, I saw submission, so I am also emulating submission in our marriage, but I'm also taking out things that I didn't like that I saw. But yeah, I feel really bad because that's not a good explanation.
Okay, let me ask you, because I feel like you have the answer, but I feel like with the right question it might come out.
Okay, thank you. Because I don't know.
Okay, let me ask this question, because your parents are traditional. Like our parents' generation are
very
super traditional when it comes to marriage. Like, so like submission is an expectation.
Yeah.
Like it's not like there was no such thing as a modern woman back in like
No, definitely not.
the 90s. You know what I mean? Like when our parents got married. And even if there was in North America, like your parents are from Ghana.
Yeah.
My parents are from Jamaica. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just how we roll. Okay, so I have this question that might put things into perspective for you. So basically, like your perspective of marriage, is it traditional?
Yeah.
To begin with, because of your parents.
Yeah.
So you said you don't understand why you're submissive, but like your perspective of marriage is already traditional. So I think the question to ask, like, what do you think the ramifications would have been if your mom didn't submit, or what do you think the ramifications might even be in our marriage if you weren't submissive? I think that might help you answer the question, like, because if you view marriage as traditional, where the man is the head of the home and this and that, and you have to submit to the man.
Okay, perfect. Because I already had this answer in my head, but your question is also leading me to that answer. I think just as an individual, okay, on my own, I seek peace in everything. I seek peace in everything. So if I'm in a relationship with a friend or a mother or an authoritative figure or my husband, right? I do my best to seek peace. And so when you are seeking peace, right? And you're in a relationship with your husband, and the best option is to be submissive, for the sake of peace, I will be submissive. I think that's my answer.
And that's the answer I was thinking of.
Okay.
To be honest, because a lot of times, like we talk about it, right? Like it's about being emotionally mature.
That's it. Yeah.
In marriage.
Yeah.
And I think this is why it's so important, why vision is key. And it's significant in marriage, because if I have a certain vision for our marriage before, like while we're dating, if I have a certain vision, a certain expectation of marriage, and you have a totally, completely different expectation and a vision for marriage, it'll be very tough for us to come together in alignment. But you said it earlier that while we're dating, while we're courting, we both had similar visions, right? And that's why it was easy for us to come together and easy for you to submit under me as your husband, right? And as like a leader of the home, because we both understand that marriage is traditional. We both have a traditional perspective on marriage, right? And so I think we're going to end this episode. Oh man, you're out of focus. I think we're going to end this episode. Not only is the battery dying, but baby Miguel is crying in his room, in his crib.
He's crying for mommy.
But this is a good episode,
though.
I think we definitely got a good episode in.
Yeah, I hope we were able to, flesh some things out.
Yeah. And just shed some light on certain things and talk about certain things. I feel like this topic is something that like plagues our generation, relationships and marriage and stuff. I feel like because we've moved so far from traditionalism in so many different areas, and marriage kind of is one of those things too. But let us know in the comments like how this video maybe helped you, maybe helped to bring some light to certain things, maybe helped to reinforce certain things that might help you in your own relationship or whatever.
And also comment below if you didn't agree with some of the stuff we said.
Yes.
Because I'm always like interested in hearing other people's perspective.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to think that your perspective is the right way, because there's so many different ways of thinking out there. So if you have your perspective on this whole submission thing and it's actually worked for you, or maybe it's just how you think or what you've seen, please comment below. I would love to read and, hear what you have to say.
Definitely, yeah. I love to hear people disagree, because disagreement always brings enlightenment, right? We're able to hear opinions and perspectives of people that we would have never thought that are opposite to our own. So Definitely, if you have certain thoughts, opinions that you are completely like left field to what we just talked about, and you think that we said something that's completely outrageous, and you're like, why does it have to be that way though? Definitely leave a comment. You can also even send us an email if you're shy and you wanna, you don't want that stuff to be public. You can email at bwbb or no, boyswillbeboyspod@gmail.com. That's the email address. Boyswillbeboyspod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at BWBB Podcast. That's the part. I think that's the BWBB Podcast on Instagram, and give us a follow. And also, you can leave some comments. You can leave a DM, whatever you're comfortable with. And yeah, man, honestly, if you have any ideas also for topics that you love for myself or even Phoebe, if you want to request her back on another episode, definitely feel free to do so. I'm sure she'd love to. She acts shy and like she doesn't want to, but she really wants to.
I'm actually shy, just a little bit.
Whatever, she's shy. But yeah, man, thank you so much. Love you so much. Thank you for listening, and hope you have an awesome day and the rest of the week. God bless you. Peace out.